Like, his area of coverage is like this. Like, even the pre-jumps are efficient, right? The amount of options they're constantly representing is just beautiful. Oh, Chronic's just clanging everything. I would say, like, Jack is an upgraded Itachi, right? Let's go into the Fall Invitational. So we had the Fall Invitational where GenG finally won a final. That was a long time coming. They made the last 2 finals, the only team to make every final in North America this split, and they came out on top, and in quite a dominant fashion. In fact, it was record-breaking fashion. They're the first team ever to go 12-1 in playoffs in North America, so they went 4-1, 4-0, 4-0. They are the first team to 4-0 G2 esports since they signed Atomic. They are also the first team in the Swiss stage to assist every single goal that they scored, and this was for a team that scored 20 or more goals, because obviously there are teams who go 0-3 like Seoul, who, you know, they'll score like very few goals, and so therefore they tend to get that stat. But like, as a team that scores 20 or more goals, this is the first team to ever assist every one of those goals. But yeah, they scored 41 goals, and as you can see here, they also got 41 assists. So 41 goals, 41 assists, record-breaking numbers here. And this is the score lines here. You see 7-1 game 1 starts off with the Brazil. And if we look at the stats here, just outrageous numbers across the board. Do we have any overtimes? I believe we had some overtimes, right? Yeah, 4 minutes 20, 1 minute 56. So we will see some skewed stats as well. You can see 13 shots per game. That's pretty high, but yeah. That's just what we're looking at right now. Jack going for a lot of demos here, actually. Look, this is massive. Jack specifically, so a high demo match. Again, though, demos will be skewed up a little bit because of the time. Boost per minute. One thing GenG do very well is their boost control is pretty good. Both Nolly and Jack in the 50 area. First Killer's very good with his boost. Very good average amount there. So First Killer getting a lot of boost here, but it's looking pretty averaging in the group. Jack, again, gets a lot of boost. So yeah, all those stats looking fairly normal, just a little bit skewed. Jack upfield a lot on the bump and grind. Nolly and Chronic. Chronic very deep. Nolly sort of in the middle. Nolly sitting the deepest, which makes sense because he does tend to sit the deepest. Chronic is the one who gets behind the ball the most. First Killer close to the play makes sense, but you can see here across the board, Faze are getting in front of the ball a lot, except for Mist sitting deep. When we saw GenG play against G2, we saw a similar kind of thing happen with the stats, that the opposition weren't getting behind the ball as much as their normal averages. So if we now look, say, at their averages for the event as a whole, you can see they're a little bit higher, right? Like 77, 72, 69. And this also comes from dominant gameplay, right? Normally when a team dominates, because every single time those two players have an interaction, the team that's dominant is much more likely to win out those interactions. So when they win out that interaction, they take the ball with them, stay behind the ball. The player who loses out goes past the ball and sits in front of it more. And if you've got bad recoveries, your opponent's getting broken down a lot, you're going to spend a lot more time in front of the ball. So that's kind of why this stat happens, but it seems to be something that GenG force upon a lot of teams with the way that they rotate back a lot, get behind the ball, win out 50-50s and so on. So yeah, GenG very good at getting behind the ball and forcing their opponents in front. Movement-wise, very grounded final. Again, we said this last final. At the moment, one thing I'm noticing in all of Rocket League in the stronger matches is that the grounded stat seems to be around 55 to 58 for the players in the final. And that's just because we've spoken about option coverage. The more grounded you are, the more options you have. And you really see that in these top players. They stay grounded and jump at the last moment. So this stat tends to be boosted. And they spend less time floating and recovering slowly. And they spend a lot more time getting back quickly. But yeah, let's have a look at some gameplay then. So let's just watch from the start here, right? First Killer has just made a touch. He's taking a shot on net, that's fine. GenG have got a good enough structure. They're going to be able to defend it. But look, they don't just defend it, they keep possession, right? Nolly, straight to Chronic. Boom. Chronic here, makes a play, looks to follow it up himself, and Jack is in the middle, ready to potentially play off of it. It's a threat. There's a threat of continued possession here from GenG. So what does that force Faze to do? Faze, try and intercept it, and with that intercept, look where it goes, back into possession of GenG. GenG are patient. Nolly goes to that rather than Jack. It allows the time for Chronic to rotate back. Nolly right here. Waste some time up. First Killer challenges him. But then the possession remains with GenG, right? Jack brings Typical in, goes for a 50-50. Look who has the next touch, right? It's going to be Jack. So every single touch right now is going to GenG's favor. I know we're only 20 seconds into this, but I believe this will probably be the theme throughout. I didn't get a chance to watch this before, but based off of the stats we saw, especially the percentage behind the ball thing and so on, you can clearly see that GenG are possession focused, where Faze are just booming the ball away. Exactly the same thing here. GenG actually lost possession here. Jax messed up his play. It's a mechanical error. He was trying to double that probably, or put it in a position where Chronic could threaten it. And actually Chronic is enough of a threat here in the middle that it forced first killer to feel he needs to clear it. And obviously part of the reason why they need to clear it, if we look up in the top corner over that direction, you can see the boost amounts for Faze. So Faze is boost management. Again, we brought that up in the stats. Their reliance on 100s and not their comfort with pads and their average amounts being lower and so on has led them to be on low boost as a team. So first has to clear this here, giving away possession to allow them to recover and get boost, right? So I'm obviously over-analyzing this right now. Look, this is a prime missed here on the back 100. Tell me you're over-reliant on 100s without telling me you're over-reliant on 100s, right? So you can just see how, like, that's the... Like, mechanically, Faze are at the same level, if not better, than GenG. But GenG just have this possession-based game plan. And they give each other time to recover. They go for 50-50s and challenges. They've got all these traps set out on the pitch to gain possession of the ball. Right? The person challenging is not challenging to get the ball. They're challenging to get the ball back to a teammate or to themselves. Right? They're not just going in there to try and take the ball off the opponent. They're doing it to get the ball to a teammate rather than off of the person with the ball. So you see right here, Mist is given back to Chronic. Chronic's taken a shot. He's made the decision halfway through that he's going to focus on recovery over booming this, right? Because he's low on boost. So he wanted to make sure they didn't get strong possession there. So he's just focusing on hitting that ball to it. You can see, like, see these tiny little details, right? I know this is, again, overanalyzing a little bit. But you just see how he hits this ball here. It helps him to recover quicker, right? He decides to hit under the ball so that it sends his card downwards more so we can recover quicker, right? It's all these tiny little details on, like, recovery speed. So this is the first bit of phase control we've seen for a while, right? Mist has got possession, decides to catch, good stuff. First killer has gone forward for bumps. I'm pretty sure, literally, someone was like, Faze weren't going for bumps much. The stats show that they were going for bumps a lot. I mean, maybe first killer could have turned off ball cam there and gone for a bump, so I can see that, yeah. There was some moments where that could have been the case. First killer's gone for the outplay approach. Great block from Jack here. So they've had to break down all three players. Nolly baited in. The trap Nolly set up with Chronic behind him. Gets beaten by first killer. So this is great offense from Faze, something they're very good at. So you see this is their first bit of possession they've shown. Jack's read it beautifully. Good boost management. Look at the boost management above. Like, all three of them have just committed within the last 2 seconds. Right? And they've all got boost still. And then that's how they're able to counterattack, right? Faze have overcommitted here. And look at what Sipical had to do right here. Sipical's very far up with 44 boost. No good momentum, right? And then has to use all that boost to recover, then has no boost to save it, right? So you can see very smart gameplay there. I would have argued in the past that mechanical chaotic playstyles were the worst playstyles for LAN. And then teams like Moist came about and showed that that's not the case, right? Because in my mind, mechanics are the first thing that go in a team, right? Because playing on a new setup, in a new environment, with more pressure, you're much more likely to make mechanical mistakes. But then, at the end of the day, it's whatever your weakness is much more likely to fail under pressure, right? And if you're a mechanical team, you're much more likely to fail in your structure. If you're a structural team, you're much more likely to fail in your mechanics, right? Because pressure makes your most conscious habits worse. What was that goal? Let's have a little look again. Wait, what's that? Is that a FaZe Clan overcommitment? Like, look right now. Just look at the two teams, right? So Faze are trying to make an offensive play here. First killer's given the ball away. Nolly's intercepted, cleared the ball away. First killer's trying to go for a bump, has 0 boost. Sypical right now has low boost. Mist has 100. Mist is using a lot of that boost to get across this ball. First killer has not recovered yet, right? First killer is still being bumped around a little bit, and Mist is starting a solo play. Now look at the boost amounts from both teams, right? The boost management from GenG is so much of a factor of their success, right? They make decisions based off of how much boost they're on, right? Look at Nolly here. Low on boost. To be fair, he did get bumped. But you see how Nolly's low on boost here? He's just doing a little low boost play, right? Whereas a lot of players in these situations where they're lower on boost still try and go for their higher boost play. Whereas what GenG are very good at is they're very good at making decisions based off of their boost amount and their team's boost amount. So right here, they're on the counter attack. I think Chronic right here gets that back 100. He was going up to block Mist's touch if Nolly didn't get it, and then just happens to be in the air, right? And like, if at this point Mist beat them both, he just flies down to the ground, recovers, right? And Jack is chilling at the back with 100 boost. See there? That's Jack doing the exact same thing the other way around. You can see here, Jack's was going to go up for that, recognized Chronic could go again, probably was in comms as well, just backflips out of it, finds himself back on the ground. But again, little bit of boost used to go up to it, a little bit of boost used to recover. If you have 100 boost, you've got more options. It's just, at this stage, the boost management from GenG is creating more power play situations where they've got loads of boost, they're in a stronger position, and can use their mechanics, right? Whereas Faze are not creating as many situations for themselves where they could utilize those mechanics. And they're not as confident in them because the way GenG play is they'll punish them if they ever try and overcommit. Whereas against other teams, they probably get away with it, right? Whereas against GenG punish you if you try and over-mechanic it, right? What's that? Chronic's... Look how deep Chronic is. People look at how aggressive they are and they think they're right on top of their opposition all the time. They're not. They're just moving with good speed, grounded. The pass from Mist is not good. But, like, so much of the pitch is covered. You're constantly like, where do we put it? Where do we go? Where's the safe space? And Chronic's covering such a massive area. Like, if we look here, as he grabs this boost, you see how far Chronic is here from the play? Like, his area of coverage is like this. But he's moving into this space really aggressively. So then he's going to be able to cover this area very shortly. And because he's moving so fast along the ground, he can then cover this area really quickly if that's where he needs to go. So he can cover such a massive area just by directing his momentum around this space on the pitch. Whereas Mist right now is very static, double jumped for the ball. Where can Mist actually put this? Sort of like this area here, realistically. So that's where Mist is going to drop it. Or if he just lets it go, it's going to go into this area here. So that they've sort of put the clamp down on everything there with how they're moving around the pitch. And if we watch here, Chronic gets a read on that Mist situation, starts moving aggressively into that space, and then boom, you're punished for a slight misdecision. Turning towards the net, we love it. That's just pure confidence right there. But even the pre-jumps are efficient, right? Even the pre-jumps are efficient and they play off of each other. It's like Chronic has pre-jumped and barely took himself out the play. Like, this is what we're talking about, right? Like, the amount of options they're constantly representing is just beautiful. This was an amazing game. I'm just going to skip through to the final game. Like, I've spoken a lot about other stuff, so we're just going to do 2 matches here. I think we've got the gist. The kickoffs again. It's the same kickoff, right? So Sypical's doing the kickoff, or he's trying to get it back corner. So he hits through the ball side on. Nolly does the same thing, but slightly more soft. So he, like, deflects off of it a bit more. And then that rolls it to Jack, right? Okay. Yeah, so right now, this is the final game. So just a little bit of a mindset shift maybe for GenG as they're thinking we've got to close out the final. So they might get a little bit more jumpy. And this is something I see in a lot of players when they're on that match point. They can get a little bit more hesitant at times where they should just go, a little bit jumpy at times where they should just chill out. So the decision making gets a little bit more clouded. Because they are thinking, oh god, just one more game. And like, some teams are really good at not doing that, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit more jumpiness from some of these players. Oh, Chronic's just clanging everything. Very good mechanics there. You can see here, Jack coming back in. Good momentum. Good pad pathing. Good use of the dodge to clear it away. Just keeping his boost nice and high so he doesn't have to rotate out. It's kind of like a similar role to what Itachi does, but in a more aggressive kind of way. I would say like Jack is an upgraded Itachi, right? So you see with this fake kickoff, if we look from above, Chronic slow cheats, Nolly gets back left, Appjack looks to be coming in from the left side across the ball. So then Sipical's going to cancel it. I think, yeah, this Appjack seems to be... Actually, let's look from Sip's point of view, because let's see if Sip can see that. I think Sip's just trying to put this back corner towards first killer, but then they've got two people able to clean up off of the touch, whether there's one that goes straight or whether one goes towards the corner where the boost is, right? And in this case, it goes straight to Nolly. So they've done this twice now in this series, so very interesting. Why they conceded? I didn't watch that, right? Great play by Mist. Chronic panic touched it away a bit. Appjack misread it. I think they're just on the back foot a little bit here. They got a good amount of boost. Appjack's touch there. Tried to touch down to Chronic. Chronic just mistouches it. Really good play by Mist. Fair play. I'd say it's good play by Faze, and then also Chronic just gave away possession a little bit there. But anyway, the kickoff. Little fake kickoff. Lovely stuff. What did Hoodie say? GenG have been so impressed that the stream was going well. It's going great, thank you. I hope yours was amazing too. But yeah, Faze obviously uncomfortable. Like yes, Faze could have played better. We know Faze have got more in them, but like the way GenG play just makes people so uncomfortable. But you can see this game, they're definitely not looking as good as the previous games, because I think they're probably feeling the nerves a little bit, knowing that it's time to close it out. Yeah, Jack is definitely playing the Itachi role. I keep seeing him do very Itachi-like decisions. Yeah, right now Appjack is like a upgraded Itachi. Slightly better with his boost management. Slightly better mechanically. Offers more options. Like Itachi's great, like don't get me wrong. Like I would love Itachi in my team, but I would say that Appjack is just a level up version. I call it the Itachi role because I feel like Itachi is the most definitive at that role, if that makes sense. He's the one who has the most iconic style in that way, which, like, when we look at it, it's players who tend to not rotate out of the play as often. They tend to stick around, try and intercept things. They're much more comfortable doing low boost intercept plays, and they like to keep the possession of the team. You know, they'll come in and do little tip-ons. They'll also rotate via pads more than most players, because they're rotating through the middle of the pitch a bit more. They're less reliant on 100s, although in this occasion Jack looks to be a bit 100 reliant. But they're also just willing to not go for as risky a touch to let their teammates come in. Do I think KC will give a better fight against GenG? What I would say is the way KC-GenG matchup would go would be a lot more like... It would be like a battle of who can break the other team down through efficiency and like challenge game. You know, Itachi's intercepting here, Jack's intercepting there. You know, you've got Vatira off the ball who gets possession, but then the structure's so good from GenG that they dissolve his offensive plays. You know, Chronic and Exotic, they're so aggressive mechanically, but then they're getting red because everyone on the pitch is a good reader of the play. It would just be like a constant battle, and then goals would happen through like solid, relenting pressure is how I'd imagine it. But yeah, that was incredible from GenG. Like, hopefully you guys got a gist of why they're so good. Obviously, a lot of this series, Faze could have taken more control of the ball and a bit more comfortable with the ball. But I think their play style that's been working is very aggressive. I'm going to turn this into a goal within the next 3 or 4 touches, and it works because they're also mechanical. But they're getting punished for that in this game because they're overcommitting based off of the way GenG structure. So, you know, like one little pass could be an overcommitment just based off of the way GenG punish it. That's why Faze struggled so much in this final. We'll look at some other GenG games, in particular the G2 game's a big one to watch. But GenG right now just have the perfect Rocket League structure. They're following the 7 pillars of option coverage beautifully, where they're being as efficient as possible and opening up as many options to them as possible so they don't get punished by mistakes. Because at the end of the day, everyone makes mistakes. Everyone's human. The smallest little mistake can be recovered through good option coverage. We'll see how they do at the major when they come up against other strong teams, whether they can still perform it there. And especially Chronic on LAN, we don't know what he's going to be like. We know Nolly and Jack both have up and down as well on LAN. They've had great performances in the past, but then equally, they've probably not been on a team where they're this comfortable before. So who knows what will happen when they're on a team like this. For FaZe, they just need to have a more sustainable game plan that works against other efficient teams. Because right now, if they go against European teams like K-Corp, like BDS, if BDS make it, I think they might struggle a little bit, maybe even Falcons, because they're so 100 boost reliant. They overcommit a lot. They're going to get punished for a lot of the plays they go for. And they might be so reliant on their mechanics on the day just being outrageously good that they will struggle. Yeah, Quadrant as well, potentially. They might struggle against teams that have a efficiency, structure-based game plan unless they're having a really good day. And that's not always something you want to rely on in Pro Rocket League. You want to be able to have a solid floor that can help out when your ceiling's not being reached on a certain day. There we go. How was that for you guys?